Hi, good evening. I'm Tom Wesley. I just appreciate the fact that you allow me to come into your town meeting in this manner. I apologize. The last minute I was called to do some business in Europe, and Monday afternoon I'm flying away. So here I am in the town green in Leicester, and came by to stand out on behalf of one of the candidates for school committee earlier today. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to introduce myself to you. My name is Tom Wesley. I'm a Navy veteran and a candidate for U.S. Congress here in the 2nd District. And you know, I'm not a career politician. I'm a career citizen. And I'm called to do what I'm doing now out of a sense of patriotic duty. I took an oath of office years ago to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And you know, once upon a time, all those enemies were on the pointy edge of the sword, on the other side of the sword. But now I see them sort of on the inside, infiltrating in. And I think our way of life and our liberties, our choices, which I think are essential to our freedom, are being eroded. They're being taken away from us. And that to me is as disturbing as so much of the legislation is that's going through Congress these days. Be it the healthcare legislation or cap and trade or immigration legislation that people are proposing. So it's time to stand up and be counted. I didn't want to spend the next 20 years saying, boy, 2010, that was really a pivotal year. I wish I'd have done something. I want to be able to look my grandchildren in the face someday and say, I did all I could to preserve our way of life. Let me introduce to you also my daughter Hannah, and I thank her for coming out not just to one location but several locations this week in my absence, and putting on this show. Hannah, go easy on her, please. She's been out of the country for the last 6 months. She's just returned from a volunteer effort in Kenya, and you can talk to her about that. I'm sure she'd be able to regale you. In fact, if there are any Rotarians out there who are looking for an opportunity to have someone come and speak to their group, I'm sure she would accommodate you there. She's actually moving into now a nonprofit role, at least for the foreseeable future. I think she's found a career path. So please take the time to meet my daughter Hannah. Ask her questions about me regarding my role as father and community member, more so than me as a candidate for Congress, because she's been disconnected from the campaign for a while. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. Look, I graduated from the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy back in 1977. Entered active naval service and training. Became a naval officer and a Navy pilot, naval aviator as we say. Spent some time down in Pensacola getting my wings, and then I've been deployed in lots of places around the country. So from Florida to Maine to California to Hawaii, back to D.C. on the East Coast. It's been a very, very interesting and very, very productive start to my career. I spent time as a pilot during the Carter and Reagan years, flying in the Western Pacific, hunting the Soviet menace submarines, doing some special operations out in the Sea of Japan area. Being home ported in Barbers Point, Hawaii was fun. It's not a hardship living in Hawaii, but I was there for 33 months, and 19 of those months I was underway deployed, so I understand what it's like to be on the pointy edge of the sword. I came back east and worked in the Pentagon as a member of the Organization of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That was a very, very interesting and formative time for me. When you think about it, I've lived inside the Beltway. The Beltway is an interesting and an imaginative place to live. It's never a dull moment. It's very highbrow. Things that people talk about are things that influence and are of concern to the political class in Washington, but not the people who send our politicians down there. So I like to say that no matter what grand intentions you have going down as a newly elected official to Washington, you stand the risk of catching what I defined as Potomac fever. You go down, great intentions, you're reading the front page of the Washington Post every morning, and then somewhere along the line you stop reading the front page, you go right to the society pages and seeing, hey, who sat close to the president, who got invited to the state dinner, who's in line for that chairmanship, who's on Meet the Press, who's on Face the Nation this week. And the yardstick that you use to measure your performance is the yardstick of the political class in Washington, not the people on Main Street here, in the 2nd Congressional District. And that, to me, defines the difference between people who go down to represent us as constituents and those that wind up representing the interests of the party. Look, this is the first time I'm running for office. As I said, I'm doing this as a patriotic duty and as a sincere desire. My country called me once to serve. It's calling to me again to serve again and to bring a touch of sanity to Washington, shall we say. We're not going to do it alone. This is going to be a big year, 2010. There's going to be huge changes in the freshman class of the 112th Congress. And 50, 60, 70, who knows how many new people are going to be in Washington, and they're going to be looking to do one thing: to restore American greatness, to restore fiscal sanity, to bring back balance into our functions of government. Government is broken right now. We've seen it for the last 10 years. Look, 10 years ago, what was the worst thing you had to worry about? Whether your computer was going to fire up on January 1st, 2000, right? The big millennium bug. Well, here we are 10 years later, and we're thinking, is the American century over? Are we going to cede our future generations to the Chinese? I don't think so. I think that there's plenty of room in the 21st century to make it an American century. And what we have to do is restore our will and restore our leadership and back away from what is already found out and discovered to be a failed social welfare system. Why are we racing headlong into a European-style form of government and form of social welfare state that everywhere around us is being proven to fail? So we're not going to allow that to happen. So let me tell you a little bit more about my business background. I left active duty service and went on to the defense aerospace business. I held progressively increasing roles in sales and marketing positions. I'm an international businessman. I made my first trip abroad in 1975. Look, I was a Boy Scout. I still am a Boy Scout. I'm a scout leader in Hopedale. In 1969, I took my very first airplane ride, and it was to the Philmont Scout Ranch. I took my second airplane ride with a sea bag in one hand and a sextant in the other. Headed off to the West Coast and caught a ship and didn't come back for 6 months. And that began an odyssey that started in 1975, and it's continued ever since. I've been an international businessman, been involved in international commerce almost every single year since then. So I have a perspective around the world. People want, I think, three things. They join us. They want to live in peace. They want no bullets and no bombs blowing up around them. Can you imagine that? I mean, I've been to places where that's the lifestyle. I've been to places that are communist. It's different here, and we want to preserve that, right? So they want to live in peace. They want to be able to raise a family without a lot of coercion from the government, certainly no fear of the government. Secondly, they want to know the dignity of human labor. We want to have a job. We want to pay our bills. We want to contribute to society. We want to have those choices. We want to be able not to be burdened unduly by taxes as well, so that we have an opportunity to make choices as to where we invest that money, whether it's in our family, whether it's in our community. Let me be the charitable decider. I'm a charitable person, but I would rather be the one that writes that check. Thirdly, they want to be able to pass something along to future generations. And when I've had this conversation around the world, all corners of the world, from Asia to South America to Europe to the Middle East, those three things resonate with people. And they resonate with people right here in the 2nd District. Now, think about it where you are now. More suburban, right? Different sorts of priorities, safer streets. But when you have this conversation in Springfield, for example, people are saying here, I want to take my country back. In Springfield, they're saying, I want to take my city back. I want to take it back from fear. I want to take it back from drugs. I want to take it back from violence and gangs. I want my school system to function for me. Those are the things that unite us. They don't divide us.